Yeah, let's talk about like SEO rules. But obviously, the first one is like keyword research, right? Understanding what keywords are popular, but you also need to have reasonable search volume. I would say anything above, like, I personally like anything above 1,000 as far as like search volume, right? And obviously, the sweet spot is always going to be high search volume and low competition. However, like, it's not always like completely ideal simply because a lot of time when people simply only go after low competition keywords, like they kind of get themselves out of opportunities. So I mean, my secret recipe is to like blend things together, so you kind of like find ways to outrank. But overall, like when you're starting out, like definitely high search volume and lower competition or medium competition. And as you get more advanced, then you can go after high competition keywords. And then you need to optimize your title, description. So headers, that's more for when you have a Shopify store, but like also your URL and product description. So, and that's kind of what I want to bring up. So on Etsy, when you are creating a title, we actually have very lengthy titles, right? Where it's like bracelets, gift for dad, Father's Day gift, dad birthday. Like we stuff it with as many keywords as possible because it does help with ranking. But when you are doing a Shopify store, when you have too many words on your title, it actually doesn't help you from an SEO ranking perspective. So you actually have to be a little bit more strategic when you do titles for a Shopify store and make sure that they're more succinct. Obviously, like gift for dad is not going to rank, right? But you might have other keywords that rank. So SEO for Shopify is a little harder, but like just keep that into consideration. You need to have shorter URLs. And then obviously you need to have good product description with as many keyword stuff as possible. And then headers is essentially like making sure that within because the way Google crawls is that it will always look at headers and then titles and descriptions first to kind of figure out what your content is about. But with Etsy, the beauty of it, and that's why I love Etsy, it's so beginner friendly. You don't have to worry about any of that because Etsy does that for you.
I know that there's a bit of a discussion for Etsy titles as to whether or not the comma or the
It doesn't matter.
Works best. Does it matter or does it not? Doesn't matter. Okay.
It doesn't even matter. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter at all.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. And then next one. Yeah. So make sure that your product description are descriptive. And so that's more for Shopify, right? It does help to have within your product description like an FAQ. Obviously, like it's more work, and don't do this unless it's a product that is already proven, right? But being as descriptive as possible, having an FAQ within that product page, making sure that you have it optimized for all the relevant keywords, adding tags as well in Shopify, because you can add tags on Shopify, by the way. You have it in your, I think it's your right-hand side column. So you could do that. A lot of times, like I have my VAs do that. Like I'll have them do the tags like on Shopify directly, and then we upload it to Etsy. But yeah, so make sure you do that. Then next one is mobile optimized. So that's another reason why I love ShineOn, because like ShineOn has like such an amazing landing page builder that all the work is already done for you when it comes to like the page being mobile optimized. And Etsy's the same thing. You don't have to worry about any of that. But back in the day when I used to have my own print on demand store, and I think I was using Printful at the time, like I had to spend the extra money and having a theme to make sure that it was like mobile optimized and it had all the features. Yeah. And with ShineOn, like a lot of those headaches, like you don't need to have because they've done the work for you. So that's awesome too.
Thanks. Yeah, it is really important, that the people, in general, the majority of us, you can just walk outside your home and you see 9 out of 10 people are holding their phones and they're looking at it. That's where people are. They're not, we're not back in the day with like big desktop computers anymore.
Well, e-commerce purchased, I think, if increased, where it's like 80% of them happen on your mobile phone. Exactly. It's something insane. Like most people actually shop directly from mobile, versus shopping from desktop. And that's why I think Google made that switch. I think it was like 2-3 years ago, because before it didn't really matter as much, and then they made it a priority because of that.
Yeah, and I mean, and Etsy makes it so easy too for any of your customers who are on there. There's the buy it now. There's just, they make it so simple and mobile optimized for sure. And that is a great tip, especially for people who are doing Shopify stores, to just make sure to always check what it looks like on mobile, because if your formatting is a little funky, you might be losing people. So definitely something to check out.
Yeah, loading speed actually matters when you have a Shopify store. But again, ShineOn does a great job at making sure your landing page is not too heavy. So Etsy, we don't have that problem. See, this is why I love Etsy.
Great.
I'm like, I don't have to deal with that.
It just does it for you. No, I love that.
I know. I mean, and it's also why like sometimes it's a little harder for people, you know, to crack Etsy. But okay, so next one, URL structure, right? So I talked about that, making sure that it's not too long of a URL and you have like all the relevant keywords within it. Yeah, so that's actually an interesting. So backlink building. So there's a couple of ways you can go about it. So when it comes to Etsy, I would say that obviously like you want to make sure that you have sales. I can't repeat that enough because I see people thinking the issue is traffic. They're like, oh, well, nobody's viewing my listing. I have to find ways for them to see my listing. Etsy's a very smart algorithm. They want you to get sales. And if your listing is good, you will get sales. If your listing is not good, you won't get any views and you will continue getting deranked. So once you already have traction, then you can go and put in the extra work into bringing traffic by doing like Pinterest. And with Pinterest, like it's all about consistency, right? And having the right keywords and also making sure that I would say like idea pins tend to outperform when it comes to impressions like regular pins. So you can do that extra work of pinning your content. And also if you have a Shopify store, the same applies. Like a lot of time people kind of dismiss Pinterest and obviously don't just post once and expect more traffic. You do need to post pretty consistently and it could be the exact same product. You just have to change a few things, right? Like how it's positioned or whatever. And that goes for Shopify and Etsy. And then also backlink building could be having blog posts talk about you, referring back to you. It's just a lot of different things, right? But like in proper SEO, sites that are trying to be first on the page, like Google's going to look at your authority, and your authority is decided by how many websites are linking back to you. Like it's not completely relevant as a print on demand, right? But when you are scaling and you're trying to get additional sales, it could be a good way to kind of have even more humph, like more power, if you will.
Yeah. So by backlinks, you're essentially meaning like the places outside of Etsy where your listing is mentioned. I'm just explaining it to anybody who didn't understand. But yes, it's redirecting back to your product. And you're right. I mean, Pinterest is one of those. It's a lot of it's everyone who's on there. You have to understand your Pinterest avatar too, right? They are very visual. They're looking for pretty things. And they're not too far off from the Etsy audience who also responds to nice looking things, right? It's not you can't just sort of take a random image that doesn't
But there's a con with being on Pinterest. Like, so there's pros and cons. The cons is you're easier to find.
For copycats.
You know, so the con is like people, like it's easier for people to rip you. Like, so that's the con, right? But the pro is that you are bringing in more traffic. And you're right. Like, and also like I've done Pinterest ads in the past. And so Pinterest is very different when I was like driving more traffic to my Shopify. And the thing with Pinterest is like, it's more people pinning for later. So that's why you're not going to see the traffic right away. It might take sometimes a few months, but yeah, it's not going to happen right away because it's people pinning for later. But it does help as far as like generating more sales in the future. But I would say when you're starting out and you don't really have a business account, by the way, make sure it's a business Pinterest account, you have to upload consistently. So I would say 5 times a week when starting out. There are a lot of tools out there that help you post. Like I think Minta is one of them. To be honest, like the content is not great. Like they essentially take your content and they create these like little videos for you. I've never been super impressed by it, but it's something that can help you as far as like generating a lot of like ideas fast, especially when starting out.
There's also there are some cheaper programs too. Like Later is one. It's like it's like $40 a month, and it connects all of your socials, and you can do multiple sets if you have multiple stores. And I think and they also offer like free link in bio and stuff like that. So
and you can do it on Canva too. Like I mean, so Canva enables you to create a lot of like Pinterest posts as well.
Yeah.
But I don't think it actually, at one point I think they were trying to do a scheduler, and I don't know if they have that option now, but worth looking into.
They did, because
I feel like
that was
they
part
had.
of their thing, is like Canva's latest updates for this year. There's like video background remover. There's like,
oh yeah, you can schedule it. It's you have to be in the pro, but yeah, you can schedule it.
You can schedule. Yeah, it's. I mean, Canva's
Canva, yeah, it's kicking it out of the park. It's trying to put everybody out of business.
Love it. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I think one of the biggest groups that's on Pinterest too are brides, right? So, and like,
yes,
people collecting images from all over, inspiration images for their weddings and stuff. So if you are in a wedding niche and you are selling on Etsy, or honestly anywhere, but you are trying to, and you have your Pinterest, you really should be focusing on pushing out some of those wedding designs, because that is brides creating those boards for their weddings. That is like
a thing.
I see it all the time. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, and then social media integration, but that only really applies to Shopify. So yeah, with Etsy, I mean, so being active on Pinterest, only if you have a bestseller absolutely makes sense. And I have seen people, because I'm really active on TikTok, who promote their Etsy store on TikTok, and it does help with generating some revenue. However, the problem that we have as ShineOn sellers is that we don't necessarily have the product on hand a lot of times, right? And so we're kind of like limited with what we can do. And yeah, you can like actually have the product and whatnot, but personally, I think it's kind of like a slippery slope, right? Like, I don't want to tell you like, no, don't do it. Like, don't spend your extra time doing it, because it can bring additional traffic, but you can also be wasting a lot of time and not necessarily get the results you want. So I think it's just like understanding like what your goals are. And so that's why it's important to be super strategic, depending on where you are in your journey. If you're just starting out and if you're only getting like a few sales a week, or if you're not getting any sales a week, focus first on getting those sales. Like, focus on uploading, right? Some people, it happens for them rather quickly and others not, for whatever reasons, right? But then once you do have consistent sales and you're like at the, 50 to 60 sales a week, whether it's Etsy or whatever that is, like, then you can like spend more time to scale. So just be strategic would be my recommendation.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great point too, is if you aren't getting traffic to your listing, don't throw money at it.
Oh yeah.
Make it better, because that is not going to work and you are going to just get frustrated.
So that's another thing and pet peeve of mine, because a lot of people will be like, oh, just spend money on Etsy ads. And unfortunately, that's not the answer, because like you said, adding money to your Etsy ads is only going to waste you money, because you're not going to get real data. Like, you have to stop thinking that, oh, the issue's the traffic. The issue's not the traffic. The issue's your listing. So, or whatever it is inside your listing, it's not working, right? So first, find that winner organically. And once you do, you can like throw in ads and whatnot, but don't do that until you get that sale. With Facebook ads, it's a little different, right? Or TikTok ads, obviously you have to test, but even in that testing phase, you're putting very little budget. And I mean, even that's happened to me, like when I was doing Facebook ads, I was like, oh my God, it has so much potential, but I was in the red, but I was like, I know it has potential. And I would like leave that ad turned on for too long, even though I was in the red, and even though I had data, and you have to learn to like shut it down real fast.
Yeah, I liked a product a little too much, and I was like, I swear, if I just throw a couple more bucks.
I think it's because we get excited that we get that sell, and we're like, yes, but if it's not in the green, it's not in the green. Let it go.
Exactly.
I mean, this again is more for Shopify, but like Google Analytics, and then Google, the Search Console, which is essentially like Google AdWords, can give you a lot of data as well. Google AdWords, like when you're a beginner, it's a little overwhelming, which is why like I recommend those other tools, but just like nice to have, and make sure that you have Google Analytics set up. But Etsy does a lot of that for you, like you have the data as far as like how many views you're getting, how many favorites.
Yeah.
You also can see the keywords that are driving traffic for you, like under all the, like all the stats are there for you. So that could give you some insights is like, okay, if I'm bringing a lot of traffic for daughter gift, like then can I find ways to create more listings like that, etc.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. Until next time, please make sure that you join our Facebook group here. It is bit.ly, go ShineOn for the Facebook group. You want to start selling on ShineOn because if you are not, what are you doing? You need to do this. Get on there. Go to ShineOn.com. You can sign up there. We integrate with a bunch of different things, so you got to check it out. You can find us on Instagram at ShineOn, and we have another Facebook page here, ShineOn HQ. You guys, happy selling. Thank you, Luna, and have an amazing weekend.
Bye guys.
Everyone.